determine a lot in terms of playstyles. Immortals with a first ban onto a Catherine. It's not something we usually see as a first ban.
Yeah, because in the past 5 drafts, Cloud9 has played a lot of Catherine with Idris, so Cath makes a lot of sense because Gabe is very proficient and good on Cath, so I think that's why the Cath ban came out here.
All right, well, Lyra and Vox going to follow that up, as well as a Baron ban from Cloud9 Bacon. Where do you think Immortals go with this next ban?
Likely onto something in the jungle. They could try and take away the Baptiste or the Samuel, but I feel like those may not be great bans against Joseph, so it is going to go into the Kashka, which is a much more I Love Joseph oriented pick there. So just trying to take that away from him, not allow him to have that hard carry early game powerhouse that we've seen him use so frequently.
Yeah, now looking towards Cloud9, they have to pick something up that's actually going to define the playstyle of their composition here. Obviously, Vox can kind of fit into most compositions, but once you get to this bottom half of the draft, you really start to select how you're going to play the game.
Yeah, I think Gabe likes Lance if Cath or Grace or Lyra aren't open. Oh, wow, they go for Fortress.
Ooh.
That's a very interesting pick here.
Yeah, definitely a very aggressive pick coming out from Cloud9. We've seen little sprinklings of Fortress, but not a lot, and instantly we see Immortals lock in the Kestrel and the Samuel. This has been a very, very fast draft coming out from Immortals.
Yeah, they definitely knew what they wanted on this one. This is a composition that beat them in the challenge battles, so maybe learning a thing or two from that matchup with Hammers and deciding to now run this against Cloud9. But one of the interesting things was that was run against an Idris each time, so it's not quite the same composition that are up against, but it is a very counter-engage composition, which is very strong. But the Fortress pick this early in the draft really kind of tells you that it's going to be a heavy engage composition, and the Krull coming out fits right into that. Yeah,
the Fortress is kind of like we are going to be hard engaging on you, and a Krull fits that beautifully as well, with alongside the Vox that can follow up into those team fights. So now looking at these compositions, definitely feels like Immortals are going to be trying to play at arm's length, whereas Cloud9 want the exact opposite to happen. How are we feeling about the win conditions of these teams? Do we feel like either team has an advantage coming into this?
The key is going to be the vision game. If Krull is able to jump onto Samuel or Kestrel and get his passive or stun, then Immortals going to have a really hard time. If they have really good vision and they play the distance game, then I think Immortals is going to win this game, because their comp is really strong late game.
Okay, what are your thoughts, Bacon? Is this Krull going to be enough to be as aggressive as Cloud9 needs?
It's really going to rely on... I actually like the Fortress pick a lot here, because it's now going to rely on that extra movement speed, because like Suiji was saying, the composition of Immortals can kite extremely well and can keep a team at bay, but when you have so much movement speed, Krull's perk combined with the Fortress providing extra movement speed while moving towards the target that he marks can allow this Krull to get on point and be able to find its mark.
He is going to be moving like a bullet train in this game. We'll see if he's going to be able to run down his opponents. It's time to get on into this game. But let us know whether you're an Immortals or Cloud9 fan using that hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. But without further ado, it's time to jump onto the Halcyon Fold for Immortals up against Cloud9.
Thank you very much, guys. My name is George, joined by the wonderful Scoundrel, and I gotta say, this is a nice, interesting first week for Immortals to come into the VG8. Coming up against Cloud9 is going to be one of their toughest oppositions.
Yeah, and this is a super interesting, super aggressive composition from Cloud9. The analysts really touched on it well. This is kind of going to have to either win hard early or they have a very coordinated plan of attack in the late game. There isn't really any other button than go hard here for C9. That's kind of what a Fortress enables. There's no peel back here. There's not much peel back for the Vox. This is literally go in, take out either T-Tigers or Zeo very, very quickly. And I imagine, because Zeo's going to hit that threshold of having the weapon power to give him the instantaneous active camo eventually, it will be T-Tigers as the primary focus if this game goes the distance.
Go hard or go home, and Immortals already off to a strong start, seeing away one of the fronts from Joseph. His healing camp and the Elder Treant, so already getting a small advantage there. However, Old School was able to farm up that lane, push that lane in rather quickly with the help of Gabe Vizzle. And I think it's going to be more laning phase now, I think, orientated. Next Scoundrel, I got to clear something up real quick, because I've had a few comments saying that I sound like you, and I just want to put it out there right now. This isn't 2x Scoundrels casting, this is Jaws.
Are you salty then?
A little bit, but at the same time, I do enjoy listening.
I don't think we sound
so.
anything like each other, but hey,
No,
that's just me.
absolutely not.
I want to touch on something interesting that happened at the start of the game. You touched on it when you said that they went in and took the forward camp. They actually trio invaded that forward camp and allowed Max Green to hold and soak the lane, simply because they didn't want to go for a fight around the Elder Trio at level 2. They didn't want to have to make any face checks towards the brush when Cruel obviously hits level 2. Big spike for him because he can chase down those ranged targets a little bit more readily, especially with that speed boost from that brush. So they basically said, we don't want that to happen. We're going to trio invade. Yes, we might lose some lane pressure. And C9 weren't actually able to punish that by going for the backs of Immortals because Max Green was holding the lane there, so they had full vision. If that was going to happen, they would have backed and potentially caught them out. So it was a really nice move by Immortals early on. And it looks like they are hyper-farming ambient gold onto Zio here, which is really interesting. I think they're trying to push the item spikes on the weapon power Kestrel very quickly. Kestrel has, she's one of the few weapon power carries that when you get those item spikes, they are just such a massive deal for her, as opposed to Vox, who can scale up quite nicely from Poison Shiv. She really needs to be hitting 2 to 3 items as soon as she can.
Well, Cloud9 are going to have to back off as T-Tigers makes his way towards that lane. But like you said, a lot of ambient gold on DNZO will get him up and running a lot quicker than you might imagine. And I'm sure might imagine Cloud9 as well. However, I love Joseph outsaying T-Tigers. Smite does come through on him. He goes fairly low, but he's going to use those boots to kite away. Brightball does come down to disengage from Gabe Vizzle. Now hitting those blemishes over the wall. Joseph was almost in a lot of trouble, almost got stunned up, but they jump straight back on him. Take the first blood. That first blood goes over to Max Green. Old School trying to find the kill on DNZO, tops and dashes forward, ends up picking up the kill. But T-Tigers did manage to find Gabe Vizzle off the end of it, and there goes Max Green with a 2-piece.
Here we go. Immortals off to a flying start. T-Tigers did face check Joseph there, but it wasn't quite enough. Wasn't enough time spent, and Immortals obviously really rallied around the Samuel, as you saw Max Green immediately there with the heal, able to peel back, give him the necessary health to survive that Cruel Smite. And that's what Lyra can do. She's really good at sort of I guess, dousing those kind of face check punishment scenarios. That was a face check from T-Tigers. It probably shouldn't have happened, but Lyra really sort of douses those kind of situations and makes them a lot more forgiving for the character or the hero that face checks in that scenario. I also want to point out that Zio picking up the healing camp was really important because it kept Old School there for a little bit longer, allowed T-Tigers to capitalize after he picked up the kill onto Vizzle.
Yeah, that Lyra is going to be key in his composition, especially when it comes late. The guys on the desk did touch on it. And you just did as well at the start. All in composition from C9. They just want to run at people. But with Max Green having that bright bulwark, it's going to be fairly important for their comp. Now, they have found Joseph again, but their boots are going to get popped by him. Oh, no, sorry, it's just the speed up here from Gabe Vizzle. Gabe Vizzle actually trying to just dissuade Max Green, but Joseph might just go down. Oh, that Lyra sigil almost finishes him off. So Max Green now will rotate, and Immortals with just firm pressure and control over this lane and just over this game right now.
This is what I really like from Immortals because of their composition. They are trying to bring C9 out of a scenario where they can take a gank or an invade into the jungle and pick off T-Tigers when he's weak by himself. By bringing Samuel into the lane early on, which is a rotation that is made very commonly with a Samuel, to siege the first turret, it's basically forcing C9 to make the decision between just sitting back, trying to clear the waves, or going all in an open sort of situation where you're not likely to catch anyone out, especially pre-6, which is making it hard for C9 to actually find early aggression with this Cruel and this Fortress. Yes, at level 6, there might be a situation where they can do that a bit more readily, and I think they'll be waiting for that level 6 spike on Isle of Joseph to start some fights, but Immortals are drawing C9 to the lane, where they have the open playing field, which is where Samuel really functions well, Jaws.
That he does. He'd just like to see his Tigers, and T-Tigers has done a fantastic job thus far. He's got 100% kill participation. In fact, all of the members of Immortals do. True teamwork. But Joseph has picked up that tension bow and doing cruel things. Sitting up in that top brush, waiting for something to happen. Has just Sting level 6 as well. So we'll have From Hell's Heart. But Immortals, they know this. They're aware. So they're going to play a little bit more safely. Protecting DNZO and T-Tigers in that backline. That's Max Green's primary objective.
And again, Joseph now hitting level 6 means that C9, they've got the tension bow spike. They also have a reflex block on him, so he can potentially get through an active camo stun if it's there, or obviously, maybe more importantly, making sure he's not peeled back by T-Tiger's Oblivion, which is one of the main forms of CC post 6 here for Immortals. So he's already picked that one up and ready to go. Gabe Vizzle actually looks like he's working straight towards some armor to at least tank up some of those shots from Zio. Unsure if he's going to go towards an Atlas Pauldrons with that. I mean, unless Zio goes for a Tornado Trigger, which is something that a Kestrel could do here. It's not something that's going to be super relevant just yet. I would like to see T-Tigers think about his own reflex block, though. I think that's going to be so important, as he should be the primary target, you feel, for C9 when they try and force these fights with the Cruel. But I do like that this is a big item spike that C9 maybe need to play around now, and also that level spike with the Cruel. But, oh my god, turret's just gone down. C9 left that for dead.
Yeah, literally just left it. Like, they did rotate rounds to the Tri-Brush and upwards just to try and defend it, but the constant pressure from T-Tigers and DNZO too much for that tower to stand up any longer, so it will end up falling. And Immortals now, 2,000 gold lead at 7 minutes, not something to scoff at whatsoever. Now, what are they going to do with it here? Cloud9 are going to put a lot of their own damage on that turret. That Smite will do a fair bit if they want to start something here. T-Tigers pushing forward. Joseph, well, that passive nice and stacked, so he's very, very speedy, but Immortals are just going to chase him off for the moment.
Yeah, just using their range advantage against C9. That's one of the issues that C9 will have. They are always going to get outranged by this competition, so they have to do something like this and make a play.
Ooh, Bright Bulwark was used to make sure Cloud9 just could not find DNZO. You saw as soon as they come out that brush, T-Tigers disengaged, so did DNZO. The team right now seems on perfect form of communication. And now what is it to do? Do Immortals just keep poking down these turrets because it's working for them thus far? Cloud9 need to make something happen.
They really do. They are under the pressure now. Going for something like a gold miner, bringing the attention towards them, forcing Immortals to make the move could be the play here. But the problem is by going for gold miner or trying to force a neutral objective, you still have that range disadvantage to contend with. The only way you deal with a range disadvantage for C9 is by finding those opportunities to engage with Cruel. It is now level 8 on Cruel. I don't think Joseph's had an opportunity to use an ultimate. It in part plays to the fact that, I mean, let's be honest, Immortals have played a really, really safe game here. They've made sure T-Tigers is pretty much looked after for the most part. And it's also because I don't think C9 have been aggressive enough with this composition. Maybe they haven't found the opportunities to, but they need to step up that aggression. They do have the out of a late game, that a single target pick on a late game team fight could actually win it outright for them. But again, you've kind of missed a large opportunity here to just go for the aggressive move. They are going to take gold mine. Immortals carefully pacing around it. I don't think they'll get there in time.
Collected.
Absolutely not, especially as Joseph had the smite. That'll be a nice chunk of health for him, a nice chunk of change for C9. Now, Infusion's on Old School, Infusion's on Joseph. Let's go. They want to fight, they want to do it now, but they just need to find that engage. Yeah, Vizzle maybe just needs to pop attack the pack and pray for the best, because like you said, Joseph's level 8 now. We haven't seen him throw out from Hell's Heart once. We need to see something happen here. We can see Max Green is maybe a little bit caught out, but C9 couldn't see that. Max Green has been such a catalyst to this team as well on Immortals, just spying out that top brush time and time again. You saw him put a Sidge on there, flare after flare after flare. As long as you know where Joseph is, that is exactly the main goal right now. That turret will go down. There will be a disengage here from Cloud9, or at least there's the Ranger martial advantage from Immortals already showing its true colors. Those colors are full of red, full of pain, and now Cloud9, they're trying to rotate now. What do they do from here? It's Scandal. Do they just pop the buttons, press all buttons at once, and then just go?
Well, actually, taking that first turret was really important for them, because one of the main ways that you kind of mentioned it very briefly, that actually the Immortals have been doing a really good job of preventing these engages, was the vision that Max Green had kept consistently for his team. He'd had really good placements of scout traps, making sure he's flaring out all the brushes, all the danger areas. Actually, this is now an opportunity.
Tigers might be a little bit stuck there. Does get stunned up with a Hell's Heart, and there we go. There's the first kill, or second even. First kill for Joseph, at least, on 2 T-Tigers. They take the Sentry as well, and they'll take a couple of these camps from Hell's Heart, used at the most minimal range possible with Scandal, but it still ended up working for them.
It's why I really would have liked to have seen a reflex block early on T-Tigers. It's like playing against the Koshka. You do have to respect the fact that if you don't have a reflex block, you're likely to become a target. He's gone for some armor, because it is a double weapon power composition, as we kind of haven't yet touched on, but it is something that's become more and more popular, with Tension Bow being such a good armor-piercing item. It actually makes the double weapon power builds very viable, especially single target. Someone might pick up a Bone Saw at some point, but we'll have to see. Not likely to come out anytime soon, unless I Love Joseph neglects all of his defensive priorities. But that first turret going down, you saw how aggressive that has allowed the C9 team to be now. They can make these moves into jungle because they can push the wave up. It means that Immortals won't be able to rotate as easily. The vision line can be aggressed on a bit more. There's no safe haven where that turret used to be. So now Immortals have to be a bit careful with their positioning, both in and around that top entrance to their jungle where their tier 1 turret used to be. And C9 can keep looking for these engages. That scout trap there is proving the one that Gabe put down behind the healing camp. That proved to be pretty influential because it did manage to mean that T-Tigers got caught out, and C9 then have used that to build a platform here, and that platform could result in them putting pressure on this game.
Yes, it can. That pressure at the moment is going to be that gold mine there. I'm just going to start it up here. DNZO and T-Tigers are coming through. That smite came down a little bit early. That's a kill straight onto Gabe Vizzle. They're just going to chase this one out, I feel. That gold miner didn't quite see who it went over to. Broken mid finish. One shot, one kill is going to be narrowly avoided by Joseph, but Old School is going to be the main target here for Immortals. As Rosen's bouncers doing a fair bit of work, but Old School out of energy. Will end up Sonic zooming away with his last tiny inkling of it. And now Immortals, they do manage to pick up a kill there, but War Treads for Gabe Vizzle now. That's a pretty big buy for him.
Yeah, War Treads, super important. He went for the metal jacket, obviously, with the Atlas Pauldrons having little to zero effect against the Kestrel at this point in time. He's basically looking to jump in. This is Gabe Vizzle's role right now. Force the team into a fight where, you know, they just rush their opponents down. He will body block those glimmer shots for the most part. He'll try and body block DNZO for the most part, and that will allow I Love Joseph and Old School to focus a singular target. They have both prioritized a little bit of defense against both Samuel with the reflex block coming out there for the Oblivion, because obviously Gabe Vizzle doesn't have his. He doesn't have any form of reflex block because there's no Crucible, which is often considered a pretty crucial item against Samuel. But what I think Gabe Vizzle is relying on is mobility. Fortress is a very mobile hero, and it's going to be up to Old School and Joseph to block their Oblivion themselves. So again, a lot of priority against defending multiple aspects of this Immortals composition, but they have to make it work so well. Gabe Vizzle has to tank those glimmer shots. I Love Joseph and Old School have to coordinate their target, and likely that's going to be T-Tigers, even though he's picked up a bit of armor already. Double Tyrant's Monocle for DNZO. Broken Myth now for T-Tigers. Some item spikes hit by Immortals themselves.
They're pretty big. Old School has got that breaking point, which is going to be fairly important for him in these engagements. That Sentry is going to go down again, so only one more life on Immortal Sentry. Something they haven't really committed too many resources to in defending.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard for them, just because Cloud9, they do want to force Immortals to fight them and come to them. So you can imagine Immortals going, all right, you can have that one for free. It's not too much of an issue. We'll just fight you late game and we'll fight you from afar.
Yeah.
Now Cloud9, you can see full domination of the jungle with the wards as well.
One of the issues that I think has been opened up because of that tier 1 turret being almost left by Immortals is the more space you create on the map, the better it is for a dive melee composition, because it gives you more space to chase the enemy down. It gives you more space to find picks. It gives you more space to expand your vision. And vision control in this particular type of game is so important because the more often you can catch your opponent unawares with their poor vision control, the more likely it is for you to be able to find those picks with the Cruel Ultimate or get those jumps onto a particular carry. And you can see Gabe has been so committed to getting offensive vision down with those scout traps. They're going to make an engage happen.
Dancing, prancing, and advancing. Gabe Vizzle on the front line. He still has attack of the pack. Joseph from Hell's Heart is still available to him. Cloud9 very hesitant to make an advance though. Gabe Vizzle though is going to get jumped on by Immortals. 3 members chasing him down now, and now Joseph is going to join the fray. Attack of the pack is going to get popped. Joseph still on the sidelines. From Hell's Heart does go out, but DNZO is going to block it. The reflex block, they're still kiting backwards. Oblivion is going to come through and sleep one target, and that's going to be Joseph, but it doesn't seem to matter. Old School just dashing forward. DNZO stuns him up, but that'll be Cloud9 with the ace, with the Crystal Sentry. 15 minutes on the clock. What a perfect time for a Kraken to spawn.
Absolutely. Old School's even going to go and take those back camps away as well. And it was playing right into C9's trap. They baited Immortals forward with their offensive vision line. Immortals knew that heading towards 15 minutes, they had to try and get some control of the Kraken pit on their own side of the jungle at least, because that was necessary for them to be able to then go and sort of then contest Kraken when it spawned. But that baited them into C9's trap. They pulled them closer. C9 found the perfect opportunity to go for an counter engage after Zio got a little bit aggressive with his glimmer shot positioning. And C9 found that engage straight onto them, and then fortunately it was limited space for the Immortals composition to kite backwards.
So punishing. T-Tigers even got off the full Oblivion there onto 3 members of Cloud9. 2 of them did block it, but ended up Joseph sleeping in the end. But Old School really came up big. Joseph being more of the catalyst in this game rather than just the all-out aggressor that he kind of wants to be, picking up all those kills. Old School right now is sitting on 4 and 1. Kraken marching down the lane. Immortals, they need to be able to defend, but we spoke about it before. Their range advantage is going to prove pretty useful against defending against this Kraken. But that turret is going to go down pretty fast with Joseph smite as well. And now Cloud9, they have got a 2/3 Kraken available to them. Here comes Attack of the Pack. Wait for it's going to come through as well. They're going to target Dienzio. He's going to fall. Oblivion is only going to sleep the tiny baby wolves. In fact, it did sleep old school as well, sleeping on the job. Now that will be one turret falling. They're still advancing. They're still going to crush this next turret as well. And Excalibur, I think this is going to be it. Cloud9, they're going to take game number 1 off Immortals.
And that is what these kind of compositions can achieve. It feels like it's even for the most part. Then they find the opportunities to make the dives happen. They take out those targets and snowball so quickly. It's why you have to be alert versus this kind of composition completely 100% of the time, Jaws. I feel like there was one mistake Immortals made. Having that tier 1 turret up, they were really easily able to defend it in the early game because of that range advantage. They didn't quite manage to defend it. They kind of gave it a little bit of a lackluster attention. The vision then dropped from Immortals, and C9 took advantage of vision, and it gave them all the opportunities to find those gaps.